What's up, everybody? It's time to review our bets for the 23-24 football season. Quick shout out to the Dog Pound as we get ready to make this playoff run. This year, I posted every pick to the Responsible Risk Instagram page. I did this because I wanted to demonstrate what it looks like to consistently bet throughout the course of an entire season. If you followed, you witnessed winning streaks, losing streaks, bad beat losses, lucky wins. Overall, it was a roller coaster. Ultimately, when the season came to a close, we were down 630. Ideally, when we end the season, we're up or we're making money. But one of the things that we really want to start to understand as sports gambling becomes more popular and we're seeing commercials everywhere is that it is very tough to make money betting on sports. This is something that we cannot communicate enough. It's tough to make money betting on sports. For this reason, when we look back at the course of the season, we don't want to just look at how much money we made or how much money we lost, but we want to pay attention to, are we developing behaviors that we can apply elsewhere in the financial arena? Risk taking is a small portion in the grand scheme of our finances, and we want to make sure we're doing it responsibly. Sports betting is not the end game. It's not. So I just want to repeat that again. Sports betting is not the end game. But if we do it responsibly, we don't take on massive losses, we can use some of those behaviors that we develop and we can apply them to other aspects or other pursuits in the financial arena. And the reason we don't want to focus on just making money or losing money in sports betting is because we can get really frustrated when we're chasing those wins and chasing those losses, and that can easily turn into problem gambling. And that's what we're trying to avoid here. So as we dig into the season, let's take a look at some wins and let's take a look at some lessons that we can apply to next year. Let's start with the wins. This season, I stayed within the bankroll limits, stuck to the system, and took breaks after losing streaks. I called it quits for the season during week 13 of college football and week 12 of NFL. To start the year, I said my max loss was $1,500. When I stopped for the year, I was down $630. Not losing more than we say we will may be the single most important thing we can do in any form of risk. We don't chase losses, and there's no justification for losing more than we committed to for the season. To start the year, I laid out a plan for how I would bet throughout the season. When I started to take on losses, I didn't switch the plan mid-season. It's important to develop the emotional resolve over time to avoid quickly aborting plan when things don't go our way. When we develop a plan in a non-emotional state, we don't want to formulate a new plan while we're in the midst of the action and emotions are likely running hot. We consistently took breaks after losing streaks during the season. It's essential to take breaks in any game of fast-paced risk. It hurts to avoid taking breaks in sports, and we'll see this even more so when we get into stocks and options. Risk-taking often becomes gambling, and gambling can become addictive. We consistently want to step back, recenter, and make sure we're still moving along the path that we initially planned. Now for the areas of improvement. A few areas that we can improve for next season include protecting profits, more selective betting, and improving our loss aversion awareness. There were multiple occasions this year where I was up for the season or up for the week, and the system called for bigger bets to stay on track. One example was week 7 for college and week 6 for NFL. I was up 708 for the season. The following week, after being up 708, I took on $837 in losses to end the week down 130. So I went from being up over 700 one week to being down 130 the following week. Another example was week 11 for college and week 10 for NFL. I was up 770 for the week. At this point, I took on a losing streak and I had the opportunity to reduce my bets a bit, and that would have made sense to do in both situations when I was up, to look at a plan that maybe would prevent me from going negative so I could extend my profits a bit further down the line in the season. There's a lot of games on Saturday and Sunday, and really at this point, all week during football season. It's fun to try to bet as many games as we possibly can. Moving forward, it could be beneficial to pick a handful of games that we really like. Granted, just because we like them doesn't mean we'll win the bet, but a big part of the reason why I stopped early this year was I just had fatigue from the up and down roller coaster that came with betting a lot of games. It's a long season and it's easy to burn out with all the ups and downs. This is one where I'm not sure we can master, but we have to keep it in mind. We all suffer from a degree of loss aversion. The way it played a role in my betting this season was the way I responded when I was profitable versus when I was down. When I was up 700, I thought, man, I should be betting more. If I was betting another zero on everything, I would be up 7,000. Suddenly it became tougher for me to reset my bets down to lower levels. I started swinging parlays, looking at live bets, and really just trying to run the bankroll higher because I felt like 700 just wasn't enough. But when I was down 630, I felt like it was time to step away. The pain of losing was much higher than the joy of winning, and it bled into my decision making. Although this will likely always be a factor, it's important to be aware of it while we're placing bets. Overall, it was a fun season. I appreciate everybody that rode the wave with me. Until next year, Happy New Year's and enjoy the playoffs.